I legit couldn't believe this when I saw it. I felt like it had to be a joke. It couldn't be real. So anyway, so much reaction to the awesome Time piece on Caitlin Clark and everything that had come out from her rookie season. Just it was terrific. I mean, 10 newsworthy items, maybe. Sean Gregory did a fantastic job with that. And I've covered almost every aspect of it between the video you can check out yesterday and the live that I did yesterday. Until I found out that somehow Sheryl Swoopes was on a podcast the same day that Caitlin Clark was announced as the Time Athlete of the Year. I almost was like, oh, come on. No way. No way. But shout out to an account called Caitlin Clark and Lexi Hull News, who sent me the clip initially. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't react like fast because it's just like when I see the swoop stuff, and I've been through this with y'all, I'm just like, oh, come on, I can't. I'm going to do this again. But I can't help myself. I'm sorry. It's almost too twistedly entertaining for me at this point. And I went to watch the clip, and I'm thinking, all right, she'll say some complimentary stuff that pains her, but then move on. But there was a really awkward part of the conversation as well. Let me play it for you. She was on Gil's Arena. Here was the piece in question from Sheryl Swoopes.
Has been named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year. So the award, which has been distributed since 2019, Clark becomes the first WNBA player to ever win this award. We see the album cover, or excuse me, the magazine cover. I'm here fucking up. Look like an album cover, with the baggy pants. But Sheryl, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to Caitlin Clark winning Time Magazine Athlete of the Year?
I don't think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were, but the fact that that's the very first WNBA player to ever win Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is pretty special. And my question is, like the criteria, is it based off of her performance on the court, which, yeah, she had a great year, or is it more about the impact that she had on the game this season?
I'm sure a mix of both. Obviously, WNBA saw record viewership numbers across the board. Her teams played in a lot of those games.
No, I think it's great, not just for her. I think it's great for the league.
Yeah.
Right? Like, everybody talked about the recognition that she brought to the W this season. So for her to be Time Magazine Athlete of the Year, I think it's really great for the league.
So in the Time article, Clark had a strong quote acknowledging her privilege. Here's what she said. I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then you continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. So, yeah, when you hear Caitlin say that, because Caitlin obviously in the media has been very,
She has a great marketing team.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm just hoping.
She's trying to stay at the barbecue, goddamn, because,
She's the stag girl. She was invited to the bar. Mm-hmm. She got the cookout. But when you hear that, thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform to elevate black women in the WNBA have been instrumental, obviously, in building that league to what it is. Okay.
So what's the since it's 2019, right? I mean,
So there was a little bit more after that, but when you watch the clip, first of all, it doesn't look like she's like, yeah, great for our league, but she did say it. Secondly, though, then she's like, what's the criteria? Already trying to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. But the part that really stands out is the complete silence after the privilege comment. And the privilege comment, of course, of all the things that Caitlin said, there were so many great things in there, right? Like, she talked about Christy Sides. She talked about her college defenses against her being awful. She talked about, players not targeting her, and Dejanay Carrington, and wanting to win championships and Stephanie White and elevating women's sports and so on, her working on her mid-range game, so on and so forth. Of course, that one comment is the one that people want to run with because everybody doesn't want to talk about basketball. And of course, I'm in the trap too, so I'm guilty. Here I am being guilty. But when I read that, I just was like, okay, and moved on. Yes, it had to become this giant talking point where some people were like, she bent the knee, and other people were like, thank you, that's all we ever wanted to hear. And, I don't know. I'm not, the marketing team comment being what it is. I do believe there was probably a part of Clark and her team's thinking of that comment is like, can we dead everything? Can you shut up and leave us alone? All the noise, that is not anybody individual or anybody with good intentions, but just like, can that be the end of it? And I'm not saying she wasn't genuine either, but that is the, you would think at this point, there is literally nothing else for her to address in that regard. She said, stop doing hateful stuff in my name. She said it again in this article. She said it in front of the cameras multiple times in the WNBA. She's uplifted the other players around her. And then she said that comment there, which, I don't think she said anything in that sphere before. So for that to be the thing that then Sheryl Swoopes completely ignores is going to probably get another trip around the news cycle. And, I don't know why we're so obsessed with race when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Or some people are so obsessed with race when it comes to Caitlin Clark. I don't think Caitlin Clark has privilege. I don't think she has white privilege. I don't. I think, like she said, she earned it all. What I think she might have is extra. Something, like I've compared it over and over again, but I think the best analogy is Eminem. Because Eminem came in, it was harder for him probably to break in and work his way up as a white rapper, but then he was great. He was electrifying. He was awesome. One of the best MCs, illest wordplay, all those things. And there were white people that identified with him that didn't identify with black rappers before. His sales were higher. His sales were deservedly high because he's a great artist, but they were probably higher relative to his peers that were at his level, in part because he was white. And maybe that is the privilege for Caitlin Clark, where there may be people who see her and identify her with her and root for her because of that. And that is a little added aspect of her fan base. But I don't think it is the basis of her fan base. And I don't think anything she didn't earn. And, I just don't understand why Sheryl Swoopes is so reluctant, pained to praise her, and could, for the second time now, just ignore something that's brought up to her regarding Caitlin Clark. Totally different tones and conversations. The other time was about her being the player of the week on a broadcast. But I couldn't believe it. She was on a podcast the day this happened. I guess it's good, a gift from the content gods. But, I don't know if we should go around and around in circles on the privilege comment. I think, what else do we want Caitlin Clark to say? There's just nothing that's going to make everybody happy. I think we have to figure that she needs to know that by this point too. And generally, I've found her to be unbothered, but you can't help but some of this stuff get to you when it's constant and constant and constant and constant. And there's just nothing that can be done because, as I've said, there's nothing controversial about her, and you don't have to root for her. You don't have to like her. That's your prerogative. But objectively speaking, I don't see what's not to like.